out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Thursday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with JJ LaSelva. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Thursday evening that has a changing of the guard. And my alma mater, the University of North Florida men's basketball team, will certainly spend some time on that. Just an absolutely insane NBA playoff game last night. You want to know why I love NBA basketball? Why I get the league pass? Why I watch, every second of Orlando Magic games is for moments like that last night at Madison Square Garden between Indiana and New York. Absolutely wild. It was terrific theater. You got game 2 tonight of the Western Conference Finals, Oklahoma City and Minnesota. We'll keep you updated. That game's going to tip off here in about a half an hour or so. Florida and Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals of the NHL. We'll keep you updated on that, but we're certainly not going to get too far away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will do some Jaguar talk tonight. We'll talk a little Florida and Florida State as well. Max Chadwick of Pro Football Focus. You say Pro Football Focus, it's PFF. Well, yeah, but they're also starting up a little college football portion. They have a podcast, a daily podcast that Max Chadwick is the host of. So we'll talk a little Florida, a little Florida State. I'll throw in a Travis Hunter thought or two as well with Max Chadwick of PFF. Our NFC East previews continue tonight. We've already made stops in Philadelphia and Washington. Tonight, it's all about the Dallas Cowboys. My guy Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's our guy when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. He will join us as we will preview and look back on the Cowboys offseason, preview the season to come with Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Daniel Griffiths talks Jaguar analytics with us and a lot more. We're glad you're with us here until 10 o'clock this evening. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and JJ LaSelva. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
Change happens in life. It's part of life. And in the world we live in, which is sports, obviously change happens very, very frequently. Colleagues here at 1010XL come and go. Athletes that we enjoy covering come and go. Relationships that we make come and go. And you just kind of learn to live with it after a while. It's part of the business. When you're around as long as I've been lucky enough to be around, which will be 23 years this August. I was 18 when I started in sports radio. I'm now 41. You kind of get used to change happening. But just because you get used to it doesn't mean you have to like it. And look, I'm not mad at this. In fact, I think it's a great opportunity. But it really kind of hit me today when Matthew Driscoll and the UNF Ospreys announced that he was resigning to go take the associate head coaching job at Kansas State. It's a great opportunity for Coach Driscoll. Great opportunity, and I'm sure UNF sees it as an opportunity to kind of reset what they're doing as well. And we'll get to UNF's future in a moment, or I guess maybe later on this week or next week. But I want to focus tonight on Coach Driscoll. Now, to a lot of you, that's the UNF coach, right? That's the guy that screams loud. That's the guy that yells, "Let's go," at the top of his lungs. And yes, he is all of that. But I just wanted to take a quick opportunity tonight to tell you about the guy I know that's Matthew Driscoll. Driscoll came here 16 years ago. 2008, I believe, was his first year, 08, 09. I probably met him for the first time around then. I started really getting to know him probably 2010, 2011 would be my guess. The guy that you see on all those videos, on all those highlight reels, on all those GIFs, I guess, on social media, that's not just the camera. That's who Matthew Driscoll is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'll tell you who else Matthew Driscoll is. Matthew Driscoll is a Division I men's college basketball coach that the day my grandmother passed away in 2016 called me to send his condolences. Matthew Driscoll is the guy that when my son was born in May of 2019 called and texted to congratulate me on the birth of my son. You know, again, when I got married in 2015, a decade ago, again, called to congratulate me. I cover UNF, I cover sports for a living, and I'm very fortunate to do that. Matthew Driscoll's got a ton going on, right? Coaching a basketball program, trying to build up a basketball program, doing all that. But that's just the kind of guy he is. You know, to call me the day or the week, it was very soon after my grandmother passed away, to offer condolences, things like that. He didn't need to do that. He did that. To convey the type of dude that Matthew Driscoll is, there aren't enough positive things I can say about him. And Jacksonville's loss is Manhattan, Kansas's gain. Because he's going to go out to Kansas State. I believe an associate head coach is his title, and he's going to, I'm sure, do great out there. And again, not mad that he's leaving. I'm not even really that upset. I just wanted to point out to you that at the end of the day, yeah, it's about wins and losses, and that's what we judge coaches on. And, you know, that's the business that we're in. But a guy like Matthew Driscoll and what he meant to my alma mater and things that, you know, I can't tell you how many times I had him in studio. I can't tell you how many times I would call him up on the spur of the moment and he would come on and join me to talk NCAA tournament or this topic or that topic. I mean, the guy is, at the end of the day, he's just a good dude. He's a really, really good dude. I'm going to miss him. Obviously, I touched base with him earlier today. We're going to stay in touch. But Jacksonville, after 16 years, you know, sometimes it's time to move on, and that's what's happening here. But Jacksonville's losing a really good guy, and he's on his way to Kansas State, and I wish him and his family nothing but the best out there. And we're going to miss him at UNF. We're going to miss him here on 1010XL, as he was one of the good ones, man. Absolutely no question about that. So I wanted to throw that out there. I also wanted to get into the Jaguars a little bit. Now, we're going to crunch the numbers. Daniel Griffiths is a guy that does a lot of work with Action Sports Jacks. And what I like about Daniel, he's all about the decimal points, man. He's all about the percentages. He's all about the analytics. Now, was there a time in my life where I looked at PFF and I looked at analytics and all that stuff and kind of rubbed my nose at it? Yeah, there was. I'll be honest with you. 3, 4, 5 years ago, if you were to talk to me about analytics, I'd look at you like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? But as you get a little older, you get a little wiser, and you become very much aware that that's where the sports world is going. I have a newfound appreciation for websites like PFF. And I have a newfound appreciation for guys like Daniel Griffiths and what they do in the percentages, the decimal points, the number crunching, the analytical side of sports. And when it comes to primary focusing on the Jacksonville Jaguars, Travis Hunter, this rookie class, the roster as a whole, Daniel is very, very good at what he does. I always enjoy having him on. So we're going to talk about this offseason. We're going to talk about this rookie class. We're going to talk about the roster as a whole, where it stands here heading into Memorial Day weekend. What do the numbers tell us about the current edition of the 2025 Jacksonville Jaguars? And we'll do that with Daniel Griffiths coming up in just a moment. Again, we will keep you updated with the NBA playoffs. Oklahoma City and Minnesota. The Thunder lead that series 1-0. That game tips off in about 20 minutes or so. Florida and Carolina, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals in the National Hockey League. We'll keep you updated on that as well. Let me quickly bring in JJ LaSelva. JJ, you are one of my NBA compadres here. You got the league pass. You might even be a bigger NBA fan than I am. You're a diehard. Am I underselling last night? Am I overselling? I mean,
I loved it, man.
Oh, my gosh.
First of all, even before the heroics at the very end, the first 3.5 quarters were really good, back and forth. Both teams were just kept running. I was like, the pace of this game, when's it going to let up? And it never really did. And I, like you, was very, very close to calling it, hey, I'll change the channel, put on the Dodgers game or some West Coast game.
Dude, I had the remote control in my hand.
Well, I got to the point when it was like maybe 3-4 minutes left when I was just on Twitter. So, I had the game on, but I was really just looking at my phone. And then Neesmith hits a couple of threes, and I'm like, I got to put my phone down. And then it was just on from there. I couldn't believe an epic collapse. I know people were like, oh, it wasn't a choke because the Knicks were scoring as well. No. The defense they were playing was terrible. They didn't get in Neesmith's face at all. And then the end, that last shot, the last shot of regulation reminded me of, what's the guy's name for the Gators who sort of had a play like that against Texas Tech?
Oh,
where he dribbled back out.
Oh, Walter Clayton.
Yeah, Walter Clayton dribbled back out for three.
Except Walter Clayton got his big toe behind the three-point line.
And I kind of had a feeling that it wasn't a three. It just looked too close for me.
Well, I was on Twitter like you, and I follow a bunch of Knicks media folks and NBA folks that were in the Garden last night. And even though Halliburton, his toe was on the line and the game was going to go to overtime, apparently you could hear a pin drop at that TV timeout.
Oh, God, I'm sure.
The shell shock in the Garden. Now, to the Knicks' credit,
they scored the first 4 points.
Right, the Knicks
I'm like,
were up.
oh, my God. Him doing the choke sign is going to end up being a choke sign for him.
Yeah, and then, look, Andrew Nembhard, and we got to go quick here. Andrew Nembhard was the guy that played at Florida. He was good. I mean, he wasn't great, and then he transferred to Gonzaga, and he was pretty good out there. When did Andrew Nembhard become this?
Great role player. They go 8 deep. They're a really good roster. Everybody can shoot. It's a fun team.
That Indiana team, that is a lot of fun. And look, Halliburton is a blossoming star. And by the way, Halliburton is really good, on the Pat McAfee show. Halliburton does a lot of WWE stuff as well. He's done a lot of stuff.
He's on the video game.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is going to be a media sensation after his playing career is over, but he's got a long way to go in Indiana. That was awesome. Game 2 tomorrow night at the Garden. And again, we'll keep you updated on the Western Conference side of things with the Thunder and the Timberwolves. Game 2 of that series comes up in just a little bit. With JJ LaSelva, the hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you're with us on a Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Coming up next, let's talk numbers. Let's talk analytics when it revolves around your Jacksonville Jaguars. My buddy Daniel Griffiths of Action Sports Jacks joins us next. Here on a Thursday, it's Hacker After Dark.
Now, look, I know you guys aren't excited that we're on your team, but we're here.
Joe Coward,
Guys, we're in this thing together.
Matt Hayes,
I'm asking you, believe in yourselves.
and Leon Searcy.
Believe in each other.
XL Prime Time.
Let's put on our leg warmers, and let's dance our asses off.
Afternoons 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court: the Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 22nd, 1930, Lou Gehrig, New York Yankees' future Hall of Fame first baseman, became the first player to hit 3 home runs in 3 different games.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080. This is Hayes Carline, and I'm so proud of my guy, Leon Searcy.
Man, I used to want to eat all the time, but just 1 month on Physician Guided Weight Loss, and I've already dropped 15 pounds.
And I lost 25. No side effects, just results.
The GLP, one curbs my cravings and keeps me feeling full. It's been easier than I expected, and I feel amazing.
Their staff is great, and best of all, no surprise costs.
If you're ready to bring sexy back this summer, visit pgweightloss.com.
Physician Guided Weight Loss, safe, doctor supervised.
And it works.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
How much does a cloud weigh? The answer coming right up.
It's always a good idea to compare homeowners' insurance rates instead of renewing year in and year out. Log on to southernoak.com and get an instant quote in minutes.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
According to the National Geological Society, a normal cumulus cloud can weigh up to 1 million pounds, or about 500 tons.
Southern Oak Insurance, our family protecting yours.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Jaguar OTAs going on right now at the Miller Electric Center for the next couple of weeks. They'll have a mandatory veteran minicamp in the middle portion of June, and then they will take about 5 weeks off before they reconvene for the start of training camp the last week of July. Let's talk about Travis Hunter, the rookie class, and the general makeup of this Jaguar roster during OTAs with Daniel Griffiths. Daniel crunches the numbers, man. He is an analytics guy. He does a lot of work now with Action Sports, and Daniel's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Daniel, how you doing, man?
Oh, very well. Moving into a new place, so I'm excited, but equally excited to talk Jaguars football, and I'm happy that, there's actually some content to be putting out there, some new numbers for me to look at.
Yeah, no doubt. Congratulations on the move as well. A lot going on for you. All right, Travis Hunter, you and I haven't spoke since the Jaguars traded up to take the Heisman Trophy winner. Your thoughts on bringing Travis Hunter here to Jacksonville?
Yeah, before you even look at the football side of it, just incredible athlete. Real Analytics, they do something similar to Next Gen Stats, to where they GPS track players in game. So they specifically look at player athleticism in game. They had him as the number 1 and number 2 most athletic player in this year's draft class. He was a 90. It's out of 100, 99.6 at corner, 99.4 at receiver. Because the differences between player profiles and makeups between the two positions. But that was something incredible that I thought of, or I saw. And he had the fastest closing speed of any defensive back that they've ever measured, and that's out of 8,400. Dude's mad fast. So before you even get into the football side of things, the athleticism is there for him to be a really, really special player. And then he's got the highest career contested catch percentage of any first-round receiver since at least 2014. And that's, something that his size isn't, exactly something that you'd assume with his size. But he's definitely, his ball skills are out of this world, and he kind of makes up for his lankier size. He's not the biggest dude in the world, but he is pretty long, and that helps him there. He was also in the 91st percentile in average separation. So he can get open, and he can make plays when it gets a little sticky in contested catch situations.
So from an analytics point of view, do you agree with how the Jaguars are approaching this? It looks like primary on offense and working him in on defense.
Yeah. I think it's probably a lot easier, especially for a younger player and rookie. I think corner or quarterback is probably the toughest position to immediately step in and produce. And especially with the offense Liam Cohen's bringing in, Trevor Lawrence, BTJ, I think it behooves Travis Hunter to really get involved and kind of get comfortable early on and get him some looks on offense, raise his confidence before really getting him into the defensive side of the ball. But I think he can play both at an exceptional level.
Daniel Griffiths with us. He crunches the numbers. He's on the analytics side of things with Action Sports, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. How do you think Travis Hunter's game will coincide with that of Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah, they both are really good deep ball receivers, so that's something you love to see, as well as De'Ami Brown is. So, we can really – the Jags can really send some flyers down the field next year. He's probably, and similar to Brian Thomas Jr., gonna have to work on some of the route running intermediate stuff. But Brian Thomas Jr., we saw the difference between him at the start of last season. The end of last season was vast difference and improvement for Brian Thomas Jr. And hopefully we can see the same thing out of Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's probably a cleaner receiver coming out of college. So, we got to see a lot more of Travis Hunter than we did necessarily of Brian Thomas Jr. Over the middle of the field and stuff like that. But the ball skills, the ability to get open, that's going to be something crucial. And then you can look at De'Ami Brown and BTJ in the slot and some of the screen plays and slants as well, and the shorter intermediate stuff.
Daniel, from a defensive point of view when it comes to Travis Hunter, when you factor in Tyson Campbell, Jordan Lewis, Jarian Jones, what's your thought on where Hunter's going to factor in the secondary?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps that the Jaguars, I feel a lot better about the Jaguars secondary and corner position in general going into this year than maybe I did last year. How it works out with Jarian Jones and Jordan Lewis, whether one, who plays nickel, who plays outside, it sounds like Jarian Jones is going to play outside, but, and you still have Monteric as the fourth. I think that's a lot better of a situation to work Hunter in, and I don't think the Jaguars feel the necessity to immediately start him, which is probably better anyhow. But I think that he could definitely become the Jaguars' best corner. And it may be that if Tyson Campbell can return to his 2022 form, the Jaguars have a really good foursome of corners there.
Daniel Griffiths crunches the numbers with us here on 1010XL. He's with Action Sports Jacks. All right. The other rookies, Daniel, outside of Travis Hunter, whether it's Ransaw, whether it's Milam, Tootin, wherever you want to go, what other rookie or two excites you about this class?
Tootin definitely. If we can clean up some fumble problems, he was at the top of the list for fumbling in this year's draft class. But number wise, he was the second hardest running back to tackle when you look at yards after contact and missed tackle force percentage after Gianti, obviously. So you really, really like to see that. And both him and the other guy, LaQuint Allen, both of those guys are really excel on third down. LaQuint Allen led FBS in receptions as a running back. And Tootin did pretty well out of the backfield as well. So that's really, really exciting to see from those guys. Tootin also returned 2 touchdowns on kickoffs. So maybe the Jaguars look there to help some special teams out. As far as Ransaw, he is the second fastest safety in NFL history, going by his Combine 40.
Wow.
He ran a 4.33. I have not found who the one faster guy is. But yeah, if he was measured as a safety at the NFL Combine instead of a corner, he would have been the second fastest ever. And speed's kind of a theme for the Jaguars 2025 draft class. I just mentioned Tootin. Tootin is the fastest running back in the NFL active, tied with Devon Achane from Miami. So that's really, really good. Kaiser was also pretty quick for a linebacker, not to that attune, but you look at the top 4 guys that the Jaguars drafted, top 5 guys, and aside from Milam, you have speed across the board, whether it's Hunter, Tootin, Ransaw, Kaiser. So that's really something that I'm excited to see. 3 of the 5 fastest Jaguars ever drafted are currently on the roster.
Wow. Look, I mean, there's no doubt. When I went out there on Monday to OTAs, the team speed, now they're not in pads, obviously, but the team speed certainly stood out. I made mention of that, and so those numbers back it up. Quickly, when it comes to Milam, again, I don't know how we really measure this with analytics, but the fact that, he didn't allow a sack in his last 2 years at West Virginia, thousands of snaps. I mean, that's an anomaly, right? I guess that's technically true, but that's bizarre, correct?
Yeah, especially for a guy that played tackle. You expect more to see that from a guard or a center. And that looks even more favorably because that's where you expect him to play in Jacksonville's on the inside if he does get some starting looks there. But yeah, he allowed 1 quarterback hit since 2022, which is really good. The run blocking metrics isn't there yet, but he performed equally as well, I think, in run blocking as he did in pass protection. And he gets the opportunity. I know he's in the 3rd percentile for arm length, so you probably see him inside, whether it's left guard or right guard. But yeah, I think that, with the addition of him and the other additions made in free agency, the Jaguars not only have a much different looking offensive line, but a lot of guys with versatility, whether it's Makari, Hainsey, Milam coming in, and you still have Walker Little, who's played all over across the Jaguars line in the last few seasons.
Daniel, as we begin to wrap up, I made mention of this earlier this week. We get those roster sheets when we go out to OTAs, and of the 90 guys that are on the roster right now, and I could have been off by 1 or 2 either way, but the point would still be the same. I counted 49 of the 90 that were not in Jacksonville during training camp 2024. which was only 9 months ago, right? 49 of the 90 guys that are currently here. I mean, what does that tell you about the absolute overhaul of this roster over the past 9 months?
I was actually going to look at that for an upcoming story to see. I'm pretty certain that the Jaguars had more turnover than any other team in the NFL, because I know after free agency they'd signed the most players, and they almost had the most draft picks. So I'm curious to see and they had a lot of free agent acquisitions after the draft. I do think that if they're not first, they're definitely up there. You talk about the turnover, especially on the offensive line and in the secondary. 6 of the Jags' 14 offensive linemen are new, whether it's Milam, Makari, Hainsey, Fred Johnson. They got Monheim. And then in the secondary, you have with Jordan Lewis, Caleb Ransaw, Eric Murray. And I think that the Jaguars keyed in on those 2 position groups especially and said, hey, we got to fix this. The interesting one, not one, aside from undrafted free agents, not one addition on the defensive interior line. The only position that didn't get added in free agency or the draft was interior defensive line. So I'm really curious. Mason Smith came on strong. If you want to count the transition from Eric Armstead to edge to inside as an addition, you can. But that was something really interesting, and I think it speaks highly of what Gladstone and Cohen think of the development of Mason Smith.
Yeah, Mason Smith, Armstead, then you lump in Devon Hamilton, Jordan Jefferson, and I guess Tyler Lacey. And those, at least right now, to me, would be the 5 interior guys you'd go to battle with week 1 against Carolina. Final moments with Daniel Griffiths. Daniel, as we wrap up, with all that roster turnover, with all the numbers that you've studied over the coming, the last weeks and months, are they a better team now than they were in January when the season ended?
I think so. I think the offense especially, I cannot see it being worse than last season. You obviously get Trevor back, and you can do so much more with him than you can with Mac Jones. But with the offense, just being able to orchestrate plays that are undefensible, whether it's the mesh patterns that Doug Peterson used to love to run, and they were 31st in the NFL last year. You just making stuff easy for Trevor Lawrence, the way that Cohen did for Baker Mayfield last year, leading the NFL in screenplays. And that's kind of the way that the NFL's gone now, with really back-heavy secondaries. It's attack underneath and through their strong run game. And that's exactly the success that you saw from Cohen in Tampa, was, hey, we're going to run screens, short passes, short intermediate passes, and strong run game. And that's a big reason why Tampa was so successful last year. And if we can adapt that in Jacksonville, you should see similar success, especially with the weapons that the Jaguars have for Trevor Lawrence. Now, we didn't talk about Brenton Strange, but I've got similarly high hopes for him this year. And the defense simply can't be worse statistically. They were the worst in the NFL last year. I expect big comeback season from Josh Hines-Allen, and I think Trayvon Walker continues to produce. And I'm really excited about the Jags corner trio, even without Travis Hunter being in the mix quite yet.
If you like the number crunching, if you like the analytics, Daniel Griffiths is a terrific follow on social media. Daniel, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville where they can find your work.
Yeah, I try to get 2 things out, at least today, on X or Twitter, at Dan D. Griffiths. Some of it I include later on in my articles. Some of it's just one-off. But I also write 4 articles a week, Monday through Friday, at Action Sports Jacks. And that's been awesome to be able to do that for those guys and be able to produce as much content as I can for Jaguars fans to be as knowledgeable as possible before we head into the 2025 season.
Daniel, we always enjoy the conversation, man. I know you're busy. Thank you for taking time, and we'll talk again soon, pal.
Thank you.
There you go, Daniel Griffiths, Action Sports, with us here on Hacker After Dark. And I love the numbers, man, and Daniel knows them, no doubt about it. And like I talked about earlier this week, I'm happy we get that printout on the roster for OTAs. Now, by the time training camp and certainly the regular season come around, we'll know the team. But I was out there on Monday like, who is that? Who is that? Of the 90 guys that were on that roster sheet, I counted well over half. 49 of them were not here in August of 2024. for training camp, which again is just an astronomical amount of change. And you take into account as well the new coaching staff, the new general manager. I mean, just wild what has happened this offseason. The next OTA is next week that the media is able to go to. I'll be out there on Tuesday because, of course, Monday is Memorial Day. So I'll be out there on Tuesday, and I'm scheduled to talk with Devin Lloyd, which will be a pretty interesting conversation. Of course, Devin Lloyd did not have his fifth-year option picked up. He is set to become a free agent after the 2025 season. Obviously, that's going to be motivation for Devin Lloyd, but I was thinking about that. You know, all the Trent Baalke guys that are no longer here, you think about the guys that are still here that may not be here after the 25 season. Look at a guy like Devin Lloyd. Look at a guy like Travis Etienne. Look at a guy like Devon Hamilton. Look at a guy like Ezra Cleveland, like Walker Little. I mean, you can go on down the line of guys that were before Cohen and Gladstone that are still here, and maybe they'll have futures here moving forward. But it wouldn't surprise you at all if any of those guys I just mentioned, Hamilton, Lloyd, Etienne, throw Chad Muma in there, maybe a Darnell Savage in there. I mean, you can list off a bunch of them that might be fighting for their jobs after the 25 season here in Jacksonville. So again, not only did we have a tremendous amount of change this year, that change will probably continue into 2026 as well. Looking forward to that conversation next week with Devin Lloyd. And of course, once I do that on Tuesday, we'll play that for you Tuesday night here on Hacker After Dark. Coming up next, let's talk a little Travis Hunter. Let's talk a little Jaguar draft class, but I want to change the topic after that a little bit to the world of college. A little Florida talk with Billy Napier, a little Florida State talk with Mike Norvell, my buddy Max Chadwick of PFF Pro Football Focus. He's the college football host, the new college football host that they have on PFF's daily podcasts. Max joins me next, talking Travis Hunter, Gators, Seminoles, and more. Coming up here on a Thursday night on Hacker After Dark. We're glad you're with us on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Let's take a look inside 1010XL.
Who wants the Grand Tour?
That would be terrific. That would be great.
We have the drill in the morning.
There your music.
Jaguars Today from 10 to noon.
Good.
Helmets and heels until 2.
Yes.
XL Prime Time and the Franchi Show afternoons.
This is great.
Then Baloo and Hacker take you into the night.
All in one location.
1010XL.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Gun charges, drug charges. I'm Attorney Malcolm Anthony, and I specialize in handling these types of felony cases. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by November 6th.
It's the perfect day. You're just driving along, listening to your favorite music, the windows down. There's a cool breeze. Life is good. But wait, hold on a second. You're not wearing a seatbelt? You'd better put that on before that... Uh-oh, too late. Cops everywhere are stepping up enforcement, so you'd better buckle up or you will get caught. Sorry to ruin your day. Click it or ticket.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators. 1010XL.
Go Gators! Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills.
There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
The Summer Starts Here sales event is back at Arlington Toyota. Why does Northeast Florida buy from Arlington Toyota? Because Arlington is the place to go for big selection. I'm talking over 800 vehicles, one location, and 60-day exchange. Plus, during Summer Starts Here, get financing as low as 0% on select new Toyota models. Or how about no payments until January 2026? Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
Hi, folks. It's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass needs around the home, there's one name I trust, Lee and Kate's Glass. Those beautiful custom glass shower enclosures, maybe a new mirror, a glass tabletop. They can even replace your foggy or cracked glass without having to replace the whole window. Lee and Kate's is local. They're family-owned. They've been a part of our community since 1926. Boy, they've taken care of me, including our brand new offices at Walk Off Charities. They did a great job. I promise they'll do the same for you. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they've probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Jaguar OTAs going on right now. There's obviously a ton going on the college gridiron. Preseason magazines getting ready to come out, as well as both Florida and Florida State are gearing up for the 2025 campaign. Let's talk about all of it with Max Chadwick. He is one of the college football hosts there on PFF. And Max is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Max, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, Max, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. I obviously want to talk to you about Florida and Florida State, but I'm contractually obligated to ask anybody here in Jacksonville for the next couple of weeks about Travis Hunter. Your thoughts on the Jaguars doing what they did last month and trading up for the Heisman Trophy winner?
I love it. I think Travis Hunter was pretty clearly the best player in this past year's draft, and I know they traded a first-round pick next year to get him, but you got to think of Travis Hunter. He's basically 2 first-round picks in one as a wide receiver and corner. Now, it seems like he's going to play mostly receiver for Jacksonville, but I think he's a special football player, man. And I think we're going to look back on this 2025 draft and say, yeah, that was a draft where Travis Hunter was drafted. So, I think he's the best player in the draft. And anytime Jacksonville adds, the best player in the draft will help out Trevor Lawrence in a big way. It makes a lot of sense for me.
Max, the idea of Travis Hunter being on one side with Brian Thomas Jr. on the other and Trevor Lawrence throwing them the football has people here in Jacksonville awfully excited.
Yeah, they should be. Brian Thomas Jr. was terrific as a rookie last year. And like I said, Travis Hunter was one of, if not the best wide receiver in the draft. And, if he's playing full-time receiver, he'll be really good. I still think there's room there for him to play corner for Jacksonville as well, because I think that's also a spot where they could use a little bit of help too. So, like I said, he's the best football player in the draft, and quite frankly, one of the most unique prospects we've ever seen in the NFL draft for how good he was on both sides of the ball. You can make an argument he was the best receiver and the best corner in this past year's draft. So, yeah, I think he's a special football player, and he deserves to be the first non-quarterback taken.
Max, final Jaguar question. 9 draft picks, 12 veteran free agents, over 20 undrafted free agents. I'm happy I got a roster sheet at OTAs earlier this week because the turnover on this roster under Liam Cohen and James Gladstone has been absolutely massive. From a mile-high view, what's kind of been your thought on everything the Jaguars have done this offseason?
Pretty good. I think it's been a pretty solid offseason, right? I think James Gladstone and Liam Cohen will be pretty good at their jobs. I think they're both, young guys that you're excited about going forward, especially Gladstone as GM. And then like I said, you had a guy like Travis Hunter in the draft as well. So, and you're able to move on from some players that weren't really working out in the previous regime for Jacksonville either. So, yeah, I think pretty good overall. I think we gave the Jaguars a B+ in our offseason grades, and I think I would agree with that. It was a pretty good offseason for Jacksonville this year.
Now, Max Chadwick is one of the co-hosts of the College Football Show on PFF. He's kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. All right, Max, to the world of college football, and a lot of expectations all of a sudden on the Florida Gators. I talked to you about this time last year, and the only expectation at that point was, when is Billy Napier going to lose his job? Well, then you beat LSU and Ole Miss and Florida State, and you win your bowl game, and all of a sudden you finish 8-5, and now there's some Gator fans that are dreaming kind of big, right? Maybe a dark horse playoff contender for the Gators this year. What's your thought right now on Florida entering 2025?
Yeah, they got a lot of potential, right? DJ Lagway is maybe the most exciting quarterback that we have in college football right now. You have a really good offensive line, I think, in front of him, too, and a pretty intriguing receiving core. Trey Wilson now fully healthy. You have a good running back, I think, too, in Jaden Baugh. And then defensively, you have a loaded defensive line with guys like Tyreek Sapp and Caleb Banks, who both could be first-round picks in next year's draft. So, again, it's another tough schedule for Florida. I don't know if I'll go as far as say they're making the playoff next year, but they're certainly a very fun team to look out for. And I think, if DJ Lagway really takes the next step in his development, I think he could be one of the best quarterbacks in America. And if you have that, then, yeah, they could be a playoff team next year. So it all depends on DJ Lagway. Can he be a little more consistent with his footwork and accuracy in the short and intermediate game? Because we all know he's got one of the best deep balls in the country. If he takes the next step in his development, though, they could absolutely be a playoff team next year.
I agree with you, Banks and Sapp. I'd lump in Austin Barber and Jake Slaughter on the offensive line, too. I think all 4 of those guys could have been drafted last month. All 4 decided to come back to Florida. I also agree about Lagway, and that brings me to Billy Napier. Max, what's your opinion on Billy Napier as he enters year number 4 here in Gainesville?
Yeah, I think, he proved that he deserved another shot as Florida's coach. It wasn't like they blew the world away last year, but he did have a pretty good record and a much better record than a lot of people expected out of him, considering they had probably the hardest schedule in college football. So even making a bowl game should be seen as a massive success for him. But obviously, Florida is used to a lot better than that, right? So I think what I would say for Billy Napier is he'll probably get the next 2 years of DJ Lagway, just to make sure, DJ Lagway can have the same coach for all 3 years and don't risk Lagway entering the portal maybe after this year if you do fire Billy Napier. So I would expect Billy Napier to be there at least the next 2 years. And yeah, he's got every opportunity to show that he could be the long-term coach of the future. I'm not saying one way or another that, he's got to be fired or he's going to be, excellent coach long-term for them. It's kind of still a wait-and-see mode with Billy Napier, but I think he obviously will get this year with DJ Lagway. Then he'll probably get Lagway's junior year to show what he can do with him.
A couple of more from Max Chadwick of PFF. To Florida State we go. It was a football disaster of epic proportions last year. 2-10 in Tallahassee is almost unthinkable. Mike Norvell redid almost his entire staff. They brought in a ton of guys out of the transfer portal. But I still know some that are maybe lukewarm on what Florida State could do, Max, in 2025. What's your thought?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be tough. I think Mike Norvell was firmly on the hot seat. I think he deserved not getting fired last year. I think, after what he did in 2023 with a team that honestly should have been in the college football playoff, he deserved at least, even as bad as it was last year and maybe the worst year in Florida State history, he still deserved to be the coach this year, but he is firmly on the hot seat right now, entering 2025. And I just don't know. I'm looking at this roster right now, and it's okay, right? I don't know. This is not a top 25 team in the country, I wouldn't say. I'm not expecting a playoff out of them in a 12-team playoff either. They should be better than 2-10, but I'm not sure what Mike Norvell is going to have to do to keep his job, honestly. I know they gave him a big contract recently, but if he has another subpar year at Florida State, they might be looking to move on from him. So he is firmly on the hot seat in 2025, and I'm not sure if they have a good enough team to make some serious noise for him to keep his job, honestly.
They brought in Thomas Castellanos from Boston College. He's going to be the guy at quarterback after the failed DJU experiment last year. Do you like Castellanos as a QB?
Yeah, he's all right. I think he's a solid quarterback. I kind of feel the same about him as I did about DJ going into the year. Now, of course, DJ was disappointing last year for sure. Castellanos, though, he's an elite runner. He got better as a passer last year under Bill O'Brien. Now he gets to, I would probably think they're going to use his rushing ability a lot in that offense too. So, yeah, he gets to reunite with his offensive coordinator too, which is good. So, I think he's solid. He's not a superstar by any means. I think he's more of one of the solid quarterbacks in college football. I don't know. He's another one, too. It's kind of like, all right, we'll wait and see what he can do with Florida State next year.
Final moments, Max Chadwick of PFF. Miami gets Carson Beck. They lose Cam Ward, but it's not a terrible replacement on paper with Carson Beck. Carson Beck injured last year, obviously was unable to finish his career in Athens. Now he goes down to South Florida. What do you make of Mario Cristobal and the Canes entering the year?
Yeah, I like him. I think Carson Beck was the best quarterback in the portal. So, it's back-to-back years where you probably get the best quarterback in the portal. I think, he got a lot of flack last year for Georgia, and it wasn't the best year for him, obviously. But I think a lot of it had to do with how bad the supporting cast was at Georgia, especially in that receiving core. They had a really not great receiving core last year. They really missed Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey. So Beck was forcing it a lot more last year than he was the year before. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback in the country, though. So I think, I think Miami should be another interesting team. The D-line is still really good. I think their offense with Beck now is going to be pretty good. Maybe not as good as it was with Cam Ward, but still pretty good. I think, they're probably a top 20, top 25 team in the country and a contender in the ACC. Maybe if they win the ACC, they have a chance to win the ACC, and if they do that, make the playoffs. So, I think they're definitely a contender in that conference for next year for sure.
Do you buy the Clemson hype coming into the year?
I'm buying all Clemson hype going into the year. Yeah, I am actually. I think Clemson's the best team in the country, I would say, right now. I'm going to pick them probably to win the national title. And I've gotten the last 2 preseason picks right with Michigan and Ohio State. I was very confident about those 2 teams. I'm not going to say I'm as confident in Clemson going into this year, but I look at their roster top to bottom. I think it's the best in the country. I think Cade Klubnik, I'd probably say, is the best quarterback in America right now, at least. They have one of the best receiving cores in the country, a really good offensive line, and then maybe the best defense in college football, too. The one question is that running back, they're probably going to start a true freshman at running back, but that's really the only question I have with Clemson next year. So, yes, I am buying all the hype of the Clemson Tigers next year.
Max, final question. Along with Clemson, give me the 2 or 3 teams right now that you think are going to be the best teams in America when we kick off the season.
Yeah, I think the top 3, I would say right now, is Clemson, Texas, and Penn State. I would say Oregon's probably close to being in that mix too, but Texas and Penn State, they also bring back so much talent from last year. I mean, Penn State basically brings back everyone besides Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, who I know are both top 15 picks in the draft. But outside of that, they pretty much brought back everyone from a team that made it all the way to the semifinals last year. And then Texas, I mean, they brought back a lot of serious talent too. And now Arch Manning's at quarterback. I think Arch Manning's going to be a significant improvement over Quinn Ewers from last year. So I think Arch Manning, you could argue, is maybe the Heisman favorite going into the year. Still has a lot of talent in that Texas offense too. And then really that Texas defense is loaded from D-line to linebacker to the secondary. They have a lot of superstars on that defense. So I think Clemson, Texas, and Penn State, those are the three teams I think are right now in a tier above almost everyone else right now.
Max, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about PFF and certainly about your college football podcast.
Yeah, so all my work is available at pff.com if you want to go check it out. And, yeah, like you said, I host the PFF College Football Show, which is available on YouTube and anywhere you get podcasts.
Max Chadwick of PFF. Max, I know you're busy. Thank you as always for the time, man. We'll do it again soon.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you, man.
I suppose the most obvious question is,
What is this? I believe it is our fate to be here. It is our destiny. It is
1010XL.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Jason, I don't see how a new air conditioner is going to work out for me.
Well, you like air conditioning, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. But a new air conditioner could be expensive.
Well, not if you...
I mean, to save up the money, I probably have to give up my extra hot skim latte every morning. Now I fall asleep during a staff meeting, get volunteered for the summer picnic committee, and end up sitting in the dunk tank all afternoon getting water up my nose.
Okay, look at it this way. Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing puts in a new AC. We hook you up with affordable financing, and you stay cool and comfortable for just $149 a month. Cool?
Cool. I see it now.
Life can be hard on your budget. If you suffer through the heat because of a broken AC you could totally afford to replace, you could visit.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hey, don't buy a diamond at one of those big box corporate jewelers in the town center until you see what Beard's Diamonds can offer. Hicken here. Beard's Diamonds will give you a better price on a better quality diamond. Beards, they're not beholden to Wall Street. They are beholden to the people of Jacksonville. Why? Because they're the only locally owned jeweler in the town center. Yes, Beards has the best diamond selection in the region. No middleman prices on hand-picked diamonds, all shapes, all sizes. They also have the top bridal designers like Tacori and Verragio. And here's something else. Unlike the others, Beards doesn't have commissioned salespeople. Their experts get paid whether you buy something or not. So no pressure, ever. Their associates are diamond experts. They'll teach you how to buy a diamond the smart way. We're really lucky to have Beards here as a refreshing alternative. You get it all. No compromises, highest quality, personal service, no middleman pricing, and unbeatable guarantees. Beards Diamonds, the only locally owned jeweler. They're at the St. John's Town Center.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Find the middle of the fairway with your drives. Get the golf tips and talk to keep you straight.
That's a great tee shot.
On the Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
The Edwin Watts Golf Hour.
Saturday morning at 10 on 1010XL.
David Lane here, and once again, I'm happy to share news of my successful back and knee surgeries at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. Whatever it is that's bothering you, take it from me. Simply set an appointment today at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist and let them help you get back to normal life. I'm certainly glad I did.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I'm with
Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and Triumph has been a legend on-road. They've branched out to their off-road division as well. Give us the latest on what you can find on the asphalt.
They've got some great new products. They've got the Scrambler 400s you can get into for a little less than you might think. It's a great price point bike, but still a Triumph.
So affordability is also part of the equation.
It is, and it looks good, and it rides good.
CyclesofJacksonville.com, or check them out on their Facebook page, the showroom ready and waiting for you on Atlantic near Regency at Cycles of Jacksonville.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This Memorial Day, Navy Mutual would like to salute Bobby Jones. Jones joined the Army Air Forces during World War II. He left the service as a lieutenant colonel and became one of the most famous golfers ever, even co-founding the Masters.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
Ever wonder where your food comes from? Get back to the good old days with fresh produce delivered to you from local family farms. Subscribe today at doorbellfarms.com, connecting real people with real family farms.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We'll take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. If you missed it earlier in the week on Monday for Jaguar OTAs, after practice, I had the opportunity to catch up with Jaguar safety Eric Murray. Eric obviously was a free agent that came over here from the Houston Texans. We'll bring you a Hacker After Dark replay of that coming up here in less than 5 minutes. My conversation with Jaguar safety Eric Murray from Monday's OTA. I will tell you, in the NBA playoffs, 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, Oklahoma City up 8, 23-15 on Minnesota. Minnesota, look, they're a good basketball team. By the way, Minnesota just hit a 3, so 23-18 OKC. Minnesota's a good basketball team. Oklahoma City's a different monster right now. Oklahoma City's playing out of their mind. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just won the MVP, by the way. Congratulations to that young man. 8 early points for OKC. Minnesota's being led right now by, McDaniels with 6, Anthony Edwards with 4. So Minnesota's battling, 23-18. The Thunder lead the Timberwolves. Again, the Thunder already lead that series 1-0. In the National Hockey League tonight, boy, the Florida Panthers, they're taking it to Carolina. The defending Stanley Cup champions looking to go back-to-back. And right now, they're already up 1-0 in the series, and they're up 3-0. In Game 2 tonight. Florida just taking it to Carolina. They're at the first intermission. We'll keep you updated, but it is looking very, very good for the Florida Panthers. Again, 3-0 right now over the Carolina Hurricanes. Quickly back to Max Chadwick of PFF before we get to Eric Murray. You know, talking about Florida, and we've certainly spent a lot of time on Florida. I want to spend a couple of minutes here on Florida State really quick. The vibe I get, and you guys know my mantra this time of year, you talk about May, June, and July. It's the months of hope, right? Hope springs eternal this time of year. Everybody's hopeful that their team can be the team that's making that Cinderella run to the playoff, or that team that's coming out of nowhere, or that team that rebounds, or that team that wins 10 games and beats their rival. I mean, that's what the summer months are for. They're for hope. And I'm not trying to take away Florida State's hope by any stretch of the imagination. I think they're clearly going to be better than they were last year. Now, maybe that's relative because they were 2-10 last year. But I will tell you, the more college football guys that I've had on, like I had Josh Pate on this week, Max Chadwick, we'll have some other guys coming up both tomorrow and next week here on Hacker After Dark. The more of the vibe I'm getting that there is still a lot of uncertainty in Tallahassee. Keep in mind, Mike Norvell completely revamped the staff. Couple of new coordinators, a lot of new assistant position coaches. They went nuts in the portal, bringing in this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. Now, will that work? Well, who knows if it's going to work or not. It's going to come down a lot to the quarterback and things that they do. But the bottom line is there's a lot of newness in Tallahassee. The bottom line is between the new staff, other than Norvell, between all the new players in the portal, there is certainly a lot of newness when it comes to the Florida State Seminoles. And people in the game of college football that cover the game every day, what they tell me about Florida State is they're just not sure if this is a team that could be an 8, 9, 10 win team. I thought Josh Pate said it great on this program on Tuesday. He said Florida State could win 9 games. It wouldn't surprise me. But in the same breath, Florida State could win 4 games, and that wouldn't surprise me either. I think that's where Florida State is. They're all over the board. They could realistically finish 4-8 with that schedule, anywhere in between. I don't think they're a 9-win team, but could they be? Sure. But when you know your schedule has games against Alabama, Miami, Clemson, and Florida, you know you play those 4. To win 9 means you got to win at least one of those, theoretically, right? Are you going to beat Alabama on opening day? Are you going to beat Carson Beck in Miami? Are you going to go to Clemson and win? Are you going to go to Florida and win? I don't know, right? So if you think you're going to lose all 4 of those games, well, then you better beat the, Georgia Techs of the world, the Stanfords of the world, the NC States of the world. Because if you lose 1 or 2 of those games, all of a sudden you're looking at 6-6. And if you're 2-10, and a year later, you're 6-6. That's a combined record of 8-16 in 2 years. Is Mike Norvell going to be the head coach in 2026? I don't know. 6-6 is a gigantic improvement from 2-10. But again, that's relative because 2-10 was such a flippin' disaster. Seminole fans, you know you're not going to be happy with 6-6. Most of you won't be happy with 7-5. I think most of you will start beginning to get a smile on your face at 8-4. But again, if you think this team's going 8-4, you basically have them winning every game outside of Alabama, Clemson, Miami, and Florida. Is that realistic coming off a 2-10 campaign with all the newness on the staff and the roster over there in Tallahassee? More on college football, more on Florida State and Florida coming up later on here on Hacker After Dark. Right now, let's rewind the clock back to this past Monday. OTAs have begun here in Jacksonville. One of the 12 veteran free agents the Jaguars brought in this offseason is going to be one of the starting safeties. Longtime NFL veteran, 31-year-old Eric Murray. Got a chance to catch up with Eric Murray after practice on Monday. Here's that conversation right now on Hacker After Dark. All right, with Eric Murray, let's go in 3, 2, 1. All right, the first Jaguar OTA in the books. We got newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray with us here on 1010XL. Eric, how we doing?
Doing great. How you doing?
We're good, man. Welcome to Jacksonville.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
What was it about the Jaguars? You obviously had a lot of opportunities in free agency. What led you to Duval?
I really just the security of my family. Just being able not to move too far. Get them in the right situation so I can give myself the confidence to go out there and get myself 100%. So.
New regime here with the new coaching staff. What do you like about Liam Cohen and the new defensive staff?
I just like the dialogue back and forth. It's a lot of dialogue, guys trying to get better, and it just helps build that relationship between the coach and the player, and ultimately, hopefully, that translates to wins.
Interesting. You come from one AFC South team to another. You competed against the Jaguars last year. Now you're playing for Jacksonville. Yeah. What is it about Trevor Lawrence in this offense that you like?
High completion rate. In the last few years, and it showed when he gets the ball out quick. He's a really effective guy, and now, with a new scheme, hopefully that translates into some downfield throws with all the speed we got on the outside now. So
you're going to be competing every day out here with Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown. What kind of challenge will that be for you guys? Get you ready, certainly, for the regular season?
Just keeping the top on the defense. I mean, with guys and burners like that, it's kind of hard, but it'll be good because it'll challenge your technique and give DBs that ball in the air technique that you need going into the season, and that's when you really can make big plays.
A couple more for newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray. All right, Travis Hunter. Obviously, we know he's going to play on offense. We know he's going to play on defense. What have you seen out of the rookie from Colorado?
Just a real humble kid coming in. I mean, everything that you've ever seen him do over the last few years at Colorado, he is that. So, he's just in there working and getting acclimated.
Two new safeties as well, Caleb Ransaw, Rayon Lane. What kind of guidance are you giving these guys early on in their career?
Just to hit your spot. I think as a young rookie, everybody want to come in and make plays immediately. So it's like, if I can hit my spot and be consistent in hitting that spot, I'm going to be, giving myself a chance to make more plays instead of just kind of doing what you're not coached to do.
You're such an established veteran in this league. You've been around so long, so many games. OTAs in the month of May. What do you try to accomplish most out here for the next month or so?
Just conditioning, getting comfortable with the scheme. So when you go into the summer, you kind of keep that momentum because, at the end of the season, you're kind of coming off a break. You've been down, had some downtime. So you're just ramping up. So you make sure when you hit that summer, you rolling, and it's all, conditioning and technique from that point.
As we begin to wrap up, Anthony Campanile, we see the videos of him. Seems like a pretty interesting guy. What's it been like in the meeting rooms with him?
Real fiery, real aggressive, passionate every day. And he just breathed that into the defense, and I think that's going to manifest itself, with the players on the field.
Final question. You look at a young team, relatively young team. You were brought in. Jordan Lewis is brought in. It's obvious you guys are going to be the two leaders in that secondary, kind of the veteran presence. Do you welcome that opportunity?
Yes, sir. Just to be counted upon in this league is always a unique opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. And just grateful to continue playing football, the thing, that I love to do most. So.
Let Jaguar fans know, what do you do when Eric Murray's not playing football?
I got 3 kids. I'm taking care of the kids, and I'm making coffee at home. And I got an espresso machine, so I'm in there hooking it up.
Totally understand. I got a 6-year-old myself. Can we get a Duval from you?
No, I'm cool. I ain't worked on it yet. You're not going to catch me. You're not going to get me on the spot.
Eric, welcome to Jacksonville.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. There you go. Really enjoyed the conversation with Eric Murray. And by the way, he did say, I'll give you a Duval. Give me till training camp. So we're gonna circle back with Eric at training camp, and we'll get the official Duval from the newest Jaguar safety. But that's a guy, look, I think James Gladstone has kind of laid that blueprint out. Safety, what's the key word there? Safe, which the Jaguar secondary was anything but last year. All the blown coverages and the nonsense that happened back there. Was it the players' fault? Was it Ryan Nielsen's fault? A combination of the two? Well, I think we're going to find that out sooner rather than later. But a guy like Eric Murray and Jordan Lewis, for that matter, are they going to go to any All-Pro, Pro Bowl type situations this year? Probably not. But they're also not going to be out of position very often. They're also not going to be missing a lot of tackles. They're also not going to be blowing a lot of coverages. They are, to me, exactly what that Jaguars secondary needs. Calming presence back there that are not going to mess things up. They may not make miraculous plays, and they may not have the athleticism now that both guys had, in their younger days, 5-6 years ago. But again, they're also going to be good, solid players. And if you're a good, solid player, last year the Jaguars probably beat the Miami Dolphins because they don't blow that coverage on Tyreek Hill. If you're a good, solid player, the Jaguars might have won a handful of more games. We're not blowing coverages down the field. I think it's a good addition, both Jordan Lewis and Eric Murray, and we appreciate Eric joining us here on Hacker After Dark. Again, Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals going on right now in the NBA. Minnesota hanging around into the first quarter. OKC 29, Minnesota 25, and Carolina has found the back of the net in the NHL Eastern Conference Finals. They now trail Florida 3-1, 19 minutes to go in the second period. We will continue our NFC East preview coming up in about 20 minutes or so. We've already made stops in Washington and Philadelphia. Tomorrow night, we'll go to New York. Tonight, it's all about the Dallas Cowboys. My guy Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's been my Dallas Cowboy guy for years. We'll talk George Pickens. We'll talk the arrival again of Dante Fowler, who's back in Dallas. Obviously, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, remember that? He's the new head coach with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll review the Cowboys offseason, look ahead to 2025 with Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. That comes up in less than 20 minutes. On a Thursday night here in Northeast Florida with JJ LaSelva, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Hacker After Dark till 10 o'clock on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
It's more than a game.
No matter how talented you are, it still comes down to that brotherhood of playing for one another.
1010XL. It's why we play.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentist and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
Maxed out on credit card, struggling with high interest debt? You could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Prosser here. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan Program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. That's Loan Pronto. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is an A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Call now and start the conversation. Go to loanpronto.com or call 999-1508. That's loanpronto.com.
This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. I'm here to share that the Gator Bowl is actually a year-round organization. We're known for the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl football game, which has been a Jacksonville staple for more than 80 years. Off the football field, the Gator Bowl is also host to the annual Florida State baseball game, a champion of local youth through Gator Bowl charities, and a strong networking organization of local individuals and companies through our membership. We're actually looking to grow membership, which is an affordable, fun way for you to get involved and give back to our community. To learn more, visit GatorBowl.com for more information.
Get this. Joey and me were supposed to go to this concert next week, right? But then something terrible happened. Joey was driving without a seatbelt. But he didn't wreck. No, he got pulled over. Now Joey has to pay for a seatbelt ticket instead of a concert ticket, and I have to go by myself. How lame is that? So Joey, if you're out there, you're an idiot. Wear your seatbelt or you'll get a ticket.
All across the country, cops are cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 22nd, 1930, Lou Gehrig, New York Yankees' future Hall of Fame first baseman, became the first player to hit 3 home runs in 3 different games.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather starting to turn for the better, look ahead. Get that backyard ready for spring with a new screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are best in the business. If you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound and Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. Did you know that mosquito bites could lead to heartworms for your dog or cat? When mosquitoes show up, pet parents want them gone. Terminix takes mosquitoes down fast, just like they did at my house for our pup. Terminix knows that pets are part of the family. They do what it takes to help protect them. When mosquitoes show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a mosquito problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's Terminix.com.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a fight for the last slice of pizza? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Glad you're with us till 10 o'clock. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Jaguars OTAs, I believe, wrapped up for this week. They're back out on the field Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Next week, of course, Monday is Memorial Day. We'll be out there on Tuesday, and it'll be good to start kind of learning some of these new names. Again, I knew the conversation about all the newness here in Jacksonville when it comes to the roster. I mean, you signed 12 free agents. We just talked to one of them, and Eric Murray. You draft 9 guys, right? You sign 20 undrafted free agents. Well, there's 41 people right there that the Jaguars have on their 90-man roster that have been here for literally less than 3 months. And then the other 8 or 9 or 10 guys that I counted up came at certain points of last season, but were not here during training camp of 2024. So that's how I got to that 49 or 50 number. 49 current Jaguars of the 90 that are at OTAs were not here 9 months ago. You know, and you think about, like we talked about, I'm going to talk to Devin Lloyd next week. Looking forward to that conversation. And I'll go back to what I talked about briefly in hour number 1, right? Devin Lloyd, huge question mark on his future here in Jacksonville. Travis Etienne, certainly a question mark about his future. Chad Muma, Darnell Savage, Devon Hamilton, Walker Little. I mean, you could have a lot of roster turnover next year. Now, the one thing that I like about a lot of those guys is a lot of those guys have something to prove. I mean, Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma are coming into contract years. They have things to prove. You know, De'Ami Brown's a new guy here, but again, he's on a 1-year prove-it deal as well, which I like that aspect. Devon Hamilton, will we get the Devon Hamilton that got that contract extension a few years ago and was a dominant force in the middle, or will we get the Devon Hamilton that, quite frankly, has not been as good as that over the last 2 years? And a lot of that has to do with that back injury I believe he had in 2023. I think the Jaguars believe we're going to get a pretty good Devon Hamilton. You know why I know that? Because of all the new guys that were brought in the draft, in free agency, Not one on the interior of the defensive line. All the talk about Mason Graham this and Mason Graham that, and they didn't bring anybody in at a defensive tackle position. So it looks like it's going to be, in whatever order you want to put them in, Mason Smith, Eric Armstead, Devon Hamilton, Jordan Jefferson, and I guess throw Tyler Lacey in there. Those are your 5 interior D linemen. And we'll see if an undrafted guy proves something in training camp. Maybe the Jaguars go get a veteran, although, again, they didn't the entire offseason to this point. They must feel comfortable with Smith, Armstead, Hamilton, Jefferson, and Lacey in the middle of that defense. Remember, they did sign Emmanuel Ogbah to be the third edge after Trayvon Walker and after Joshua Hines-Allen. They also drafted a guy, Jalen McLeod, out of Auburn, who had 13.5 sacks his last 2 seasons there on the Plains. We'll see if Miles Cole, year 1 to year 2, can develop more. A lot of questions about that Jaguar defense because, look, we've talked the entire offseason about the offense. We've talked about Trevor coming back. We've talked about the 6 offensive linemen they brought in. We've talked about the 2 running backs they drafted. We've talked about Travis Hunter being a primary wide receiver and De'Ami Brown and all this stuff, right? Well, that's great, but you're not going to win any games if you don't stop anybody. They're going to have to be better on defense than they were a year ago. Absolutely have to. And you think about the new additions, Eric Murray, Jordan Lewis, Caleb Ransaw, the 3rd-round pick, right? Jack Kaiser at linebacker, although I think he's primarily a special teams guy. Emmanuel Ogbah, Travis Hunter, we'll see how much DB he plays. But the point being, they're going to have considerably new starters on offense. Of the 11 starters on offense, Hainsey's going to be a new starter. Macari's going to be a new starter. I think Wyatt Milam is going to be a new starter. That's 3 before you even really start thinking about it. Travis Hunter's going to be a new starter. That's 4. And De'Ami Brown's going to get starting caliber reps. That's 5. So almost half of your offense is going to be new starters. On defense, how many new starters you got? You got Eric Murray. You probably have Jordan Lewis if you consider the nickel a starter. And that's it, right? The other 9 guys were here last year. Hines-Allen, Walker, Armstead, Mason Smith were all here. Aluakin, Ventrell Miller, Devin Lloyd, Muma were here. Campbell, Jarian Jones, Savage, Antonio Johnson were here. So was it a defensive problem last year as far as player personnel, or was it a Ryan Nielsen problem? Well, again, we're going to figure that out pretty quick. There's a lot of new guys on offense. Not as many new guys on defense, which I think is pretty interesting when you really break it down in that capacity. Again, game 2 of the Western Conference Finals in the NBA right now. Still a good game. 7.5 to go in the first half. OKC up 41-37. Again, OKC already leads that series 1-0. They must have taken Carolina's goal off the board. It was reviewed, and I guess it got taken off the board. So Florida still up on Carolina 3-0. Eastern Conference Finals in the NHL, 12 minutes to go in the second period. Coming up next, back into our NFC East previews. We've already made stops in Philly and Washington. Tonight, let's talk about America's team. Let's review the offseason for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's look ahead to the season to come. What about Dak Prescott? What about Micah Parsons? How does the arrival of George Pickens help CeeDee Lamb in that offense? Our guy when it comes to Dallas is Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and he joins me next here on a Thursday night in Jacksonville, Florida. It's Hacker After Dark.
Duval starts with D. Jacksonville Sports Radio is 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab Crab House.
Plumbing problems? AC not blowing? Septic tank doing whatever septic tanks do? Don't call 3 different companies and play contractor roulette. Just call Duck Duck Rooter. We handle plumbing, septic, and air conditioning all under one roof. That's one call, one company, and one bill that won't give you a heart attack. For fast, reliable, and slightly ducky service, call 904-862-6769 or waddle over to duckduckrooter.com. When you're stuck, call the Duck.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens. Also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Let PGA pros straighten your morning drive with Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser on Brunch with the Tour, Tuesday morning at 8:30 on 1010XL. Teed up by Apex Roofing and Contracting and Clearwater Irrigation. Brunch provided by Chick-fil-A.
If you're tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters, you're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. And let's face it, your neighbor still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call. May Mayhem 3-room special starting at $149 plus the 4th room is free. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res. Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
No matter what the reason, sending a floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers always works. For unique and special gifts, visit their showroom on Beach Boulevard. ET here with 1010XL. Kuhn Flowers is my go-to, and it should be yours too. Online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Ackerman Cancer Center is celebrating a major milestone this month, treating their 3,000th patient with cutting-edge proton therapy. For excellence in cancer screening, diagnosis, and treatment, trust Ackerman Cancer Center. Learn more at AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island, or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. We will go one division per week leading up to the start of Jaguar training camp. This week, it's all about the NFC East. We will make stops in Washington. We will make stops in Philadelphia with the New York Football Giants. But right now, it's all about America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, and what has been a very interesting offseason out there for Jerry Jones and crew. With that, our guy in Dallas is Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Nick, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. It's certainly been an interesting offseason, getting ready for a fascinating year in the first year of the Brian Schottenheimer era.
And let's begin right there with Brian Schottenheimer. The former Florida Gator gets an opportunity, a first-time opportunity as a head coach. Nick, I got to be honest, at least for the audience here in Jacksonville, a little bit of a head-scratcher when Schottenheimer was hired. What was the reaction in Dallas when that went down?
Yeah, very similar vibes, I think. Scratching was certainly one of the first things that I did when I first found out that Schottenheimer was a legitimate candidate. But they brought him in for an interview during that process with the intention of saying, okay, hey, could this guy stick around to be an offensive coordinator / play caller if we were to go get a defensive-minded head coach? And he came in for the interview, knocked out the interview. Jerry Jones liked what he saw, brought him back the next day. They continued conversation. And then 72 hours later, they made him the head coach. And it's fascinating. Schottenheimer, he spent 25 years as an assistant in this league. His dad needs no introduction. His family needs no introduction into the NFL. And so I think Jerry Jones is looking to combine that experience as an assistant and see what that could translate to as him as a head coach.
Certainly some big news for Dallas in the last week or so with the addition of George Pickens. You bring him in with CeeDee Lamb. What's the thought on Pickens' arrival there in Dallas?
Man, I will say it could be fantastic. It could be an awesome addition. It could be perfect for what Dallas is looking for at the receiver position, but it could also be an absolute disaster. I think there's two different flips to this coin and how it could pan out for Dallas. I think on one hand, you know, Dallas sees the football fit, right? And I think it is a perfect football marriage for what George Pickens can do in a receiving core and what CeeDee Lamb can do in a receiving core, as well as Dak Prescott's strengths as far as pushing the ball downfield and finding his big body target. But if you're looking for that big body target or a guy that can kind of stretch the field from the outside at the X spot, George Pickens provides a service there that really hasn't been there in Dallas since the departure of Dez Bryant, or at least the departure of his prime. And so this is a very welcomed addition. Fans are very excited about the addition of George Pickens. But, you know, you talk to more people in Pittsburgh and you talk to a lot of people about, you know, what exactly led to that split. And could it be worse? Absolutely. You know, there's no criminal issues he's dealing with. You don't have to worry about him outside of the facility. But there are some things inside of facilities like, okay, maturity, showing up on time to practices, showing up on time for games. That was an issue in Pittsburgh last year with him. It's all about the little things with him, making the layups so that when he does make the big time shots later down on the field in the season, that it's met with 100% acceptability.
Nick Harris, Fort Worth Star-Telegram, as our NFC East preview continues tonight, focusing on the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, the story always begins with him in Dallas. There were some crazy, to me, rumors about potential trades and whatnot a couple of months ago. Those have seemingly died down. I mean, where are we right now with Dak Prescott's future in Dallas?
Yeah, there was never any legs to a potential Dak Prescott trade for multiple reasons. One, from a character standpoint, that there's no better athlete I think that's ever come through that building that has been loved more than Dak Prescott. So it kind of starts there, but also contractually. I mean, he signed that 4-year, $240 million extension last offseason. That extension begins this season. So he still has 4 years on the books, making more money per year than any player in the NFL. And so contractually, they have to keep him around at least for the next 3 seasons. And I think they wouldn't be able to have a potential out on that contract for another 3 years. So, you know, they feel content with it. I don't think it's something that they have necessarily buyer's remorse on. There is concern coming off of his hamstring injury last year, because now that's 2 lower leg injuries throughout the course of the last 5 seasons. And so there is some concern about, okay, can he be as mobile? Can he still provide that type of aspect to his game and still be effective for an offense at $60 million per year? And I think that's a tall task that he's hoping to accomplish. He's slimmed up a little bit. He's still the same weight, but he's added more weight to his lower half. So his upper half kind of has a little bit more slimness to it going into OTAs. That's going to be something fascinating to keep an eye on, but he will be hitting the field for OTAs beginning on Monday. So this will be huge.
We know Father Time waits for nobody. The Dallas offensive line has been very good for years, maybe a future Hall of Famer or two in there, but some attrition, some retirements, certainly in the last couple of years. Where are we with the offensive line that needs to protect Dak Prescott?
Yeah, it's funny because in Tyron Smith's retirement press conference, Jerry Jones mentioned that Tyron Smith changed the Cowboys' perspective on drafting an offensive lineman in the first round. And if you look at all the first-round offensive linemen that they have drafted since, it certainly makes sense. It wasn't just Tyron Smith. It was Zach Martin, that was another one that you mentioned there about him retiring. Travis Frederick was another one. But now they have a couple of guys on that offensive line, 3 of them, actually, that are first-round picks. Tyler Smith from 2022, who they feel great about. They feel pretty confident that they will be expecting another all-pro type season from him. And then this time next year, we'll be talking about an extension for him, and that could reset a market, I think, league-wide at the guard position. Tyler Guyton at left tackle, that was their first-round pick from 2024. They're hoping to get more out of him. I think if you're looking at all 5 spots, that's probably the biggest question mark for them going into the year is like, okay, can he take that next step forward? They knew when they drafted him that they were getting a raw product. It was a guy that was coming into the NFL with only 14 starts, so that they knew that it was going to take a little bit of time to get him where they wanted, but I think they maybe expected a little bit more from him in year 1. So they're certainly hoping he makes that jump in year 2. And, at pick number 12 in the draft this year, it was pretty fascinating when they turned in the card and it's Tyler Booker out of Alabama, the guard. And, you get him in the building the next day and you understand why they made that pick. I mean, high character kid. He's played at all of the top programs across the country, not only at college at Alabama, but in high school at IMG Academy, kind of sort of down the road from you guys there in Jacksonville, and also at Bergen Catholic up in New Jersey. So he has the pedigree, he has the experience, and he's coming in with the expectation that he will start day 1. And from everybody who's worked with him so far in the building, they think he's more than ready to take on that task. They drafted center Cooper Beebe in the 3rd round last year. They liked what they got out of him. He actually overperformed, I think, for my expectations. And then at right tackle, Terrence Steele. This offensive line coaching change, and not only the coaching change to welcome in Brian Schottenheimer, but offensive coordinator Clayton Adams, bringing him from being an offensive line coach at the Arizona Cardinals into the building to the Cowboys. I think this coaching change overall benefits Terrence Steele more than it benefits any other individual player on this roster.
Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Nick, the entire conversation, we've talked offense. Let's quickly go to defense. The return of Dante Fowler, who had a good year last year for the Commanders. He's now back in Dallas. What is the thought on the defense as OTAs arrive?
Yeah, he's a fascinating one. Jacksonville boy who has just kind of continued to find a role in the league. And last year it was really good to see him explode and have a great season for Washington, even if it was in limited snaps. And when they signed him during free agency, first off, it was the richest free agent deal that they had signed from an annual value perspective in nearly 10 years. Greg Hardy signed a deal in 2015 that barely eclipsed that. But it kind of goes to show you how little Dallas has been paying paying in that market over the course of the last few years. It's worth up to $6 million in the 1-year deal. But, he's a rotational guy who's kind of found that role in the NFL over the course of the last few years. And I think the Cowboys are still looking to maximize the production that he had in Washington and bring that into Dallas with an increased role. But look at all the bodies that they add at the edge position. I think they still want to keep him fresh at the end of the day. So is he going to be an every down guy? Probably not. And I maybe had a little bit of an expectation for that when they first signed him, just because they were dedicating so much money in their eyes to him. And there was some holes at that spot. They had just lost to Marcus Lawrence. There's still some injury questions at the edge spot too. But Sam Williams is now healthy heading into OTAs. They draft Donovan Ezeraku in the second round, who I am very high on. I think he's going to have a high potential as far as a similar role type of rotational pass rusher. And they still have a second-round pick from last year, Marshawn Kneeland at the edge spot. That's before you get to a guy named Micah Parsons. So there's a lot in that position group. I think Dante Fowler could be in a position to really succeed if it works out for him.
Nick, I want to end with Jordan Lewis and Chuma Edoga, two former Cowboys that are now here in Jacksonville. But a final thought on this year's Cowboys, at least for right now, and that's the NFC East as a whole. And talking to people around the division this week, I mean, it's obvious. You got the defending world champions in Philadelphia. Washington didn't rest on their laurels. They go out and get Laramie Tunsil and Deebo Samuel. New York, who really knows? I mean, there could be a quarterback controversy there by midseason. And then Dallas, I think people are very high on George Pickens. What's the thought there about Dallas and kind of where they are in the NFC East?
You talk to fans, and I think there's a good feeling that they have caught up to Washington and that they can compete with them, and that they've at least made up ground against Philadelphia. Philadelphia did lose a lot defensively on the defensive line. They had to replace a couple pieces in the secondary. So there will be some questions going into the season. And when the schedule came out last week, I think the Cowboys inside the building were happy that they get Philadelphia week 1 because they feel confident about what they're going to put on the field. They think that maybe Philadelphia might not be from what they have to replace defensively going into the season. But, I think not making the playoffs would certainly be underperforming. It would be wildly under expectation. Simply because you're paying so many guys top league money to perform at that kind of a level. And then you go out and you spend this draft capital to go get a guy like George Pickens. There are high expectations in Dallas, even after coming off a 7-10 season. Sure, there were injuries on both sides of the ball, but I'm not sure if everybody was healthy, if the results would have been that much different. That's how catastrophic things looked towards the middle part of the season, and then certainly towards the end as well. But I think there are good feelings about how they can compete in the division, but it's certainly a tough one. You do have 4 good teams, and I include the Giants in that too, because they've added some key pieces defensively as well, adding a Javon Holland. They go out and get Abdul Carter in the top of the draft. They are going to have some pieces to work with defensively for Brian Daboll. But overall, this is a solid division, and it's going to be a good one to watch 6 games of this year.
Nick, I know I had you on in March when the Jaguars went to Dallas twice on the opening day of free agency. Jordan Lewis, Chuma Edoga as well. Just a quick thought for the Jaguar fans listening about those 2 former Cowboys that are here in Jacksonville.
Man, Jordan Lewis is an awesome dude. I'll say that first off. The Cowboys, they give out our Cowboys beat writers. We vote every year on who the media good guy is every year. Just a guy who's always showing up, win or lose, to give us quotes and give us introspective answers. And Jordan Lewis won that award unanimously this past year. He doesn't only bring that from an off-the-field standpoint and kind of giving your team an image, but a solid dude in the locker room as well. He was a guy that spent 8 seasons in Dallas and ushered in a lot of talent. Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, a lot of guys that came through and succeeded in Dallas and was kind of helping to usher them in and show them the way, show them the diet, show them the exercise, the schedule, everything that goes into being a pro. And he was a big part of that. And then on the field, I think he had his best season last year. And it was very under the radar just because it's not going to come with the tackle production or the ball production as far as interceptions, forced fumbles, pass deflections. But he is sticky in coverage. He's a great slot option. I think he's a top 5 slot defender in the NFL. I think he's going to bring that similar type of capability to Jacksonville. And then Chuma Edoga kind of played the 6th man role on the offensive line over the course of the last couple of seasons. He was a piece that that Mike McCarthy really appreciated. And actually going into last season, heading into training camp, the plan was that Chuma Edoga was going to start at left tackle for the Cowboys, but then he gets injured at camp. I believe it was a toe injury, and then they kind of usher in Tyler Guyton to start a little bit earlier than they planned. So, that is a guy that they had starting confidence in around this time last year. And, he definitely served a fine reserve role last year, not only at tackle, but at guard as well.
Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Nick, as you can imagine, there are a lot of Cowboy fans here in Northeast Florida. Where can they find your work?
At Fort Worth Star-Telegram, and hit me on Twitter at Nick Harris FWST. I appreciate it.
He's one of our guys when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Nick, I know you're busy. Thank you for the time. We'll do it again soon, pal.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
And thank you to Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram for joining us tonight as our NFC East previews continue. Tonight it was all about the Dallas Cowboys. What an interesting offseason for Dallas. They just acquired George Pickens, re-signing, like we mentioned, Dante Fowler. They normally don't do a whole lot in free agency with player acquisition, but between that, the trade for Pickens, it's been a more active offseason than what we normally see in Dallas. And the big question there is, can they make up the gap between them and Washington, and certainly them and Philadelphia in the NFC East? As, look, we've already made stops in Philly and Washington. Tonight, Dallas. We will end with our NFC East previews tomorrow night in New York, talking about the New York Football Giants. But in talking to people around the division this week, I think it is assumed, as you would probably imagine, it's Philadelphia's division. Washington is the biggest challenger. Dallas, and then probably New York coming up the rear. But if New York gets any sort of quarterback play whatsoever, they could make an impact in the NFC East here in 2025. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very, very busy Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's our guy when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys, and we appreciate Nick joining us tonight. Thank you to Jaguars safety Eric Murray. Had a chance to catch up with Eric earlier this week during OTAs. Appreciate the Jaguar PR staff setting that up for us and being able to bring you that Hacker After Dark interview tonight with newest Jaguar safety Eric Murray. Max Chadwick of PFF, as we talked a little bit about Travis Hunter. But Max is also the host of the College Football Show there on PFF. So we talked a little Billy Napier in Florida, a little Mike Norvell and Florida State. So thank you to Max Chadwick of Pro Football Focus for joining us tonight. And Daniel Griffiths, man. He's our analytics guy. He crunches the numbers. He crunches the decimal points. You see his work there with Action Sports Jacks. Appreciate Daniel stopping by tonight to talk about the rookie class, talk about the roster, where it sits now here in Jacksonville, as we are well into OTAs, minicamp next month. And, of course, we're only about 2 months away now from Jaguar training camp. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Friday to close out the week here on Hacker After Dark, beginning at 8 o'clock, and we do hope that you join us then. JJ LaSelva was your producer tonight. JJ, always enjoy getting to work with you, man. Appreciate you hopping in tonight here on Hacker After Dark. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Thursday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Thursday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night to close out the week on a Friday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until